Hello everyone, this is Masha from Pakistan and you're watching my YouTube channel Insani Ittihad, which aims to invoke a little bit of humanity in all of us through awareness and understanding. So today I wanted to talk about something really personally affecting. This is in regards to having a DNA analysis of the ancestral pattern from where one is originated. So this comes as I watched this program on Sulha. There was this guy who is actually Jewish Israeli. His name is Rafi. I will put the link down below in description. So he actually presented a detailed presentation in regards to this research of DNAs of Palestinians and Israelis and Ashkenazis and Mizrahims and all the Sephardic Jews and everyone, to prove that their DNA is actually indigenous DNA of the Levant people. Palestinian, on the other hand, actually claimed first and triggered this whole question of the Ashkenazis or the white European Jews are not actually real Jews, and in fact is the Palestinian Arabs who are actually the real Israelites, actually who have been in the actual Israelites, not the descendants of Ishmael, but the descendants of the prophet Yaakov, and that is Israel. And they were just simply living there in that land, Israel, and they were Israelites and they were Jewish. And all of a sudden, Arabs came and they converted them into Islam and Arabized them. So they become Palestinian. From Israelites, they become Palestinians. And since they were the ancient Israelites, actually it's them who deserve Israel. So that was their basic claim, to use this ridiculous research of DNA into their own favor. Another usual propaganda of the Arab Palestinians, wickedly used. So this guy was actually explaining that not just the Palestinians are Palestinians who have a Levant or the Israelite Asian DNA, but the white Europeans or Ashkenazis or so-called Khazar Jews have Khazar Jews are the Jews from the USSR region, Central Asian region, that is like the Muslim countries who took independence from USSR in the 80s and 90s. Those region Jews who immigrated to Israel after Israel declared its independence in 1948. So basically these Arab Palestinians who occupied the Jewish land before 1948 wanted to give this excuse that we are the indigenous people because we're living here, and these people who are lighter skin and have come from other parts of the region, they are not the indigenous people. But the truth of the matter is that these so-called white Jews or European Jews or Ashkenazi Jews or Khazar Jews are the only Jewish community. Okay, fine, there was persecution and discrimination and subjugation of the Sephardic Jewish community in the Arab MENA region, actually Middle East and North Africa region. I totally agree that they were persecuted and discriminated, but the most hit of extinction and persecution and extreme discrimination and extreme subjugation was faced by Jews living in Europe. And irony of the matter is that these Jews who ended up in the European region, in the Western region, thanks to the occupiers who occupied the Eretz Israel, whether those occupiers were Romans, whether those occupiers were Arabs, whether those occupiers were the British, whether those occupiers were the Ottomans, all had one thing in common. They got the indigenous Jewish population of Eretz Israel and transported them into either Ottoman, either Spain, which was a colony of Ottomans initially, and transported them to all around the world. And they were persecuted so badly that they were persecuted in France, so they would run to Turkey. Then the Turks started persecuting them. They would go to Bulgaria. From one kingdom to another kingdom, from one monarchy to another monarchy, they were just trying to survive. And while they were living in those foreign lands, they were subjugated and pressured into intermarriages, especially people who made a good life and who were in a position, in a sound financial positions, and they wanted to have a successful, decent, financially stable lives in those foreign areas, in those foreign lands. They had to make compromises to show the non-Jewish population, the non-Jewish majority population, and especially the monarchs, to show them that they are not as much Jewish and they are much more assimilated. So that's why they started intermarrying the men. The Jewish men started to marry the non-Jewish women, Christian or Muslim or whatever the case was. On the other hand, by and large, where Ottomans ruled, it was a forte of Ottomans and Arabs that they were particularly interested with the Jewish women. They didn't actually care about the Jewish men, because they simply asked them to convert or pay jizya or this and that, and then they were late. But in regards to the Jewish women, they had particular interest, and not just Muslims but also these Levant areas, pagan kings also had keen interest in the Jewish women. The classical example would be Esther and Dina's rape. Dina, the daughter of Israel, Yaakov, he had only one daughter, and she was raped by the local people. By the way, they were also indigenous, which thanks to Simon and Levi were all killed after being circumcised. Very good effort by them. And who knows, I probably named my first two sons after them. Anyway, just a joke. So they had the particular interest in Jewish women. So Jewish women were taken as wives and concubines, and therefore the Arabs do have the maternal genetic DNA from there. Also, we cannot say that there is no paternal DNA of the Arabs. Of course, many of the Jewish scholars, religious leaders were persecuted, forced to convert to Islam because they were just done paying jizya. I mean, they literally looted, the Muslim literally looted them, and then said, okay, if you convert to Islam, then we'll give you a little bit of financial relief, and then you can live, at least you will be able to live. So this whole thing of tracing and analyzing your DNA actually kind of triggers me in this way, that it is very, very inappropriate and unethical. I mean, as a human, for example, I am a human. I had no consent over my parents mating and then conceiving me and bringing me into this world. How the hell then I have the right to give my DNA to a researcher and then ask him to trace the patterns of my ancestor and the sexual choices that they made, and then trace out that what my DNA is composed of? I mean, what benefit do I get from this whole thing? I mean, we are 4 siblings. Four of us have 4 different skin tones, literally. My youngest sister is way much more darker, and then I have half siblings, sisters and brothers, who are completely of different complexion. So what, they are going to get their DNA tested? I mean, there is a certain amount of respect. Our not just my mother and my father, but I would like to assume that my stepmother was also a very loyal woman, and we all have come out from our parents very respectfully and all that. Why the hell we want to, when we know through the history how these occupation of monarchs and these barbaric peoples have happened, that they have taken over women, they have killed men. And I mean, the ancient wars were not ethical wars. It was, they were not under the UN Charter of Humanity or whatnot. So, going through the details of the intimate lives and the sexual lives and preferences, or even, choices made under pressure, we're getting it, investigated through our DNA testing, and then claiming our nationalhood, or what, claiming what? I mean, for example, I go and get my DNA tested, and I find out that 20% of my DNA is Chinese, and 20% is Asian, and 30% is Arab, and 30% is European. Then what does it prove? That I have a mix of all this DNA. Then who am I? I mean, who? And then I want to convert to Judaism and live in a third country where, not even, I don't even claim to go to Israel, because I don't know how to actually go to them and say, okay, I am from Pakistan and I converted to Judaism, and can I just have, I mean, first of all, I don't even know that if the Beit Din would say, okay, fine, we think that you are a suitable righteous convert and we accept you. First, if they accept me, how do they? And then the same people would say, these Jews, they are very racist. You have to be born a Jew, because it's a very DNA based religion, and then the DNA is being used by the Palestinians, and they are saying that, oh, we are the real descendants of the Prophet Israel, and these European Jews are just converts from. I mean, literally, there is, I mean, first you send them to Europe and destroy their DNA, occupy their land, kick them out of their land, and now then occupy their land, and then say, now we are indigenous and you're not. Just because we fucked with your women and we distorted your DNA, and now we have proved that you're not real DNA, and we are here in our land, and we have a darker skin, so that's why we own this land way more than you guys. I have said it over and over again, there is no color of skin. There are no white people, there are no brown people, there are no black people. There are races who have originated, and there are races and people and culture and religion who have been originated in certain places where they have originated, like Jewish people and Judaism and Israelites have been originated in the Eretz Israel. That's where they belong. If somebody came and kicked them out, persecuted them, and kept them like a slave in other countries, doesn't deny the fact that they originated from Eretz Israel. If I take a round trip of the entire globe and the world, I'll still be a Pakistani. And then if I'll get another nationality, I would say, okay, I was a Pakistani, but now I'm this. So Arabs are Arabs. If they start calling themselves Palestinians, they don't become the Greek Philistines who lived for a long period in Israel, in the area of Levant. And then on top of that, they say Israel, the real Israelites are extinct, they are all dead. So nobody is a Israelites, nobody is a Jew. So no one should claim to be a Jewish or Israelite or claim the land of Israel as of theirs. So the ancient Armenian people, they are alive. Asian Hindu people, they are alive with their bullshit. Ancient Arab people, they are also real Arabs, and they are all alive and thriving and whatever with their bullshit. Romans become Italians, and they are also alive and well and They can claim Italy any time. Greeks also can claim Greek as their national homeland. But the only people who are extinct from this planet are the Israelites, because we don't want to give the land of Israel to the Jews or the Israelites. Just to prove that, we would say all. So of all the planet, only Israelites and the Jewish people have disappeared and gone. So all the other people are there. Egyptians, the ancient Egyptian who spoke an entirely different language, they had an entirely different culture, food or whatever, they automatically, willingly, as soon as they saw Salahuddin and Arab people, they bowed down in front of them and they said, we are converting to Islam and we are becoming Arabized. As soon as the Persians and the Assyrians and the whole Levant region, the Moabites or whatnot, Canaanites, or they saw Muhammad, that they said, this is what we were waiting for. They said, we are converting to, actually they didn't saw Muhammad, because Muhammad actually never left Saudi Arabia. He actually migrated from Makkah to Medina and then back and forth. He never went any place else apart from Makkah or Medina. So maybe they would have seen the caliphs, Umar or Osman or whatever. So they saw these caliphs and they just Arabized themselves so willingly with passion, and they loved Islam so much. They said, not only we can have brothels here on earth, but we would have a bigger brothel in heaven. And God will be our very own pimp. He would supply us 72 virgins. I mean, what best you can get? This is the best religion. So they converted themselves. So all the other ancient races are alive and flourishing and thriving. It was only Israelites and the Jewish people who are dead. So they are extinct. So basically, therefore, the Jews don't have any rights to Israel. So there is a limit to patheticness, I think, and one should go below the line and below the belt, but shouldn't go this low that, and their humanity is questioned. There is a limit to cunningness. Yes, everybody wants their own agenda to be promoted, but agenda based on this much cunningness is pure evil and shouldn't be propagated. It was all your fault that Jews in the first place ended up out of Eretz Israel, and now since they're back, they are not going anywhere else. It's the Arab who needs to get their asses across the Jordan River and into the country, Jordanian land. So it will be best for the Gazans and the West Bank Arabs to get moving and start packing and move to Jordan. I mean, don't fuck with the DNA. Everybody's DNA is pretty much fucked up, and one should not find out things of which you have no control over and you were not even present there. So what's the point? So that was all my thing. I will put the description. I would put the link of the Sulha. It was not a debate. Actually, it was a presentation. Watch it, see it, and I don't know. Maybe you will like that more than my explanation. But whatever the case is, I just wanted to put forth my perspective, and I hope that some people do understand my perspective. Thank you very much.